students, in this particular module, we are going to study the concept of test cross and to support it, the example of monohybrid test cross. So students, let's see what exactly is a test cross. Test cross is basically a simple method that is devised by Mendel to verify the genotype of F1 and F2 hybrid. Let's say we have here the recessive trait, that is the dwarf pea plant. We know that it is always going to have a genotype of homozygous recessive. But students, what about hybrid tall? Once we have a F1 hybrid, we know that all of them will be definitely tall because of the heterozygous tall trait. Whereas in the F2 generation, not all are heterozygous tall. In the F2 hybrid, of all the tall that we observe, we know that 25% are pure tall. Now, exactly to verify which of the dominant trait is homozygous and the other is heterozygous, we are going to use the concept of test cross. Further students, this test cross is something where the F1 and the F2 hybrid is crossed with its homozygous recessive parent. So the homozygous recessive parent is cross-backed with the F1 and the F2 generation, and here as the offspring is getting crossed back with the parent, it can also be called as the back cross. So students, back cross and test cross are the same words for the same context. Further, we are going to study monohybrid test cross to study the example. So in a monohybrid test cross, we have parental generation, that is the pure dwarf and the pure tall, which will give rise to the F1 generation, which is all tall, with a genotype of heterozygous dominant trait. Now here, to verify, basically the F1 generation is crossed with its recessive trait, that is its pure dwarf. As the F1 generation is crossed with its recessive parent, this is what we are going to observe. Our F1 hybrid give rise to two types of gametes, that is a dominant allele as well as a recessive allele, whereas our dwarf recessive give rise to only one kind of allele, that is both recessive alleles. Now these further give rise to combinations where we see 50-50% combinations. We have half the gametes that are with heterozygous dominant pair, whereas we have the other half with homozygous recessive trait. We can see that the F1 tall and the recessive dwarf are producing two types and one type of gamete respectively. As a result, we are having 50% hybrid tall, whereas 50% dwarf. So students, here the dominant is to recessive ratio is 1:1, and this ratio can very well be called as the test cross ratio and has a great significance. Students, further in this module we are done with the test cross and the monohybrid test cross, and in the next module we are going to study what exactly is a back cross. Thank you.